Again, Cedric Golden, Austin American-Statesman, right in the meat of SEC Media Days. Texas a part of it today. Alabama a part of it today, and 16 teams over 4 days. Cedric, you covered the Big 12. It's not nearly as big of a conference as far as the overall media, contingent. UT's always had a large media contingent. What's it been like, in your opinion, today in Dallas?
Smokey, it was nuts. There's so many media here, and easily, I know there are more teams than the SEC, so of course there's going to be more media covering it. But the fact that it's in Dallas, I think, you had all the Dallas TV stations, all the stations and reporters that cover it for Austin, and then the other states that are represented, and it was a humongous gathering of media here today, and I can only imagine how it is in Hoover, Alabama, but having it in a major metro area put even more eyeballs on this conference. So great turnout. Not as many fans as they have when they do it in Hoover because it's not really an SEC city. So, But as far as the media is concerned, man, huge turnout.
Not yet, Cedric. Not yet, but they're ever expanding, like the Roman army in the SEC. I know this is just kind of a thought exercise. How different do you think it would be for Texas if they had rolled in here, not national championship contenders as opposed to what they are, and a legitimate contender, if they were, say, where Oklahoma is right now, or maybe even perish the thought where they were before Steve Sarkisian came on board?
Yeah, that's a good question, Paul. I really believe it still would have been a lot of hype because it's Texas, and they still, even if they had gone 8-4 last season, they still have that brand name, and they still have the big money, and they're not afraid to spend it. Lamborghinis parked outside the training facility for new recruits. So they still are going to bring that cachet with them. And Oklahoma, as big a program as it's been, with more Heisman winners and more national championships, they still don't bring that cachet. Texas has the brand, and they were never going to take the Sooners without the Longhorns. And when you put those two together and you add it to already the toughest conference in the country, it's going to get more media attention. It's going to get more eyeballs. It's going to get more TV coverage. And for me, I think Texas is going to be the brand regardless. But when you add 12-2 and that CFP appearance to that brand, you get even more hype.
Cedric, they went today, Texas, along with Alabama, Mississippi State, and Florida. I know there was the players' contingent that talked, but Steve Sarkisian, what was just kind of the main message from him? I did see an interesting comment about how he does believe they're as talented as they've been, which coming off of the run last year with all the picks that they had in the NFL draft, it's like, wow, you could actually be more talented. But what stood out to you? What was kind of the message or the main theme of Sark at the podium and just making the rounds?
His main thing was they got to get back to work, and it was interesting to hear him say that. But I'm going to preface it this, guys. When he said that they are as talented as they've been under him, that might be true, but I don't think he's got more proven talent than he had last year.
Right.
You don't lose 13 guys and come back better. You might come back with more depth, but you're going to be playing guys that didn't play as much last year. And so you lose 11 draft picks and 2 free agents to the league. And so Kirby Smart and Nick Saban mastered the art of big NFL classes. They mastered the art of reloading instead of rebuilding. We're going to find out if Texas is in reload mode or rebuild mode because they haven't had this kind of success as far as NFL drafts are concerned since the mid-'80s. So losing to Devondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Christian Jones from the line. You lose all of those guys, Jalen Ford, the linebacker. When you lose all of those guys, Ryan Watts, the quarterback, it would be difficult for me to think that they're going to be better than they were last year, unless some guys that were average last year become very good. And with this schedule, it's going to be tough. I see that their over-under in Vegas is 10.5 wins. That means if you take the over, you're saying they're going to go 11-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Georgia coming into Austin, going to A&M, going to Fayetteville. That's a tough schedule. Oklahoma, that is a tough schedule. I think they are talented. I don't know that they'll be better than they were last year.
Well, that makes you give more respect to what Saban did. Not only did he lose 10 or 12, 15 guys a year, he lost half his staff every year too, right?
Yeah, because with success comes turnover. I mean, half the guys in college football, our guys here, Sarkisian, coach for Saban. Kirby Smart was a Saban guy. Jimbo was a Saban guy. There's so many Saban guys. His tree is amazing. And so to be able to find the right coaches and find the right recruits, and I think recruiting is easier now because of the portal and the money, the NIL, but to be able to do it at a time when NIL wasn't a deal and still play for national championships only speaks to the greatness of Nick Saban. We'll see if Sark is a great coach. We know he's very good, but great coaches follow great seasons with other great seasons.
Cedric, going back to that over and under of 10.5, I mean, in one thing, it should be very reachable for a team that's this loaded. And the other thing is, they've got a tougher schedule than they did a year ago when they beat that number. Is the attrition, given the way that especially the back end of the schedule ends up, is that what separates the men from the boys in this Longhorns team compared to a very good one and a playoff team last year?
Yeah, it does. And Mississippi State coach Jeff Levy said it best. He played in the Big 12 for Oklahoma, and he coached under Lane Kiffin. And Levy said, it's not about weeks 3, 4, and 5. It's about weeks 10, 11, and 12. How good are you going to be on the back end when those injuries hit? Texas has got to play Georgia and Oklahoma back-to-back. Georgia coming in Austin after the OU game. That's not going to be easy. And that's going to be that's always a physical game. So I believe that the ability to be great over time separates the men from the boys. I think that Sarkisian has a chance to be a great coach. He's in a great situation. He's got the richest school, willing to spend money. He's got an athletic director and a regent in Kevin Eltife. They've given him a blank check, and they're letting him write checks to get the best players and coaches possible. He's in a great situation. There's a reason that he didn't seriously consider Alabama. He knows he's got it good at Texas.
Cedric, you know all the noise surrounding Arch Manning and all that comes with that territory. It's clearly Quinn Ewers' team. He's the starting quarterback. I know Feinbaum made a comment the other day, got people going about how, Arch will be starting by the end of the year. And there's been little things like that. People just trying to ruffle feathers and troll, basically. But how much rope do you think there's anything to anything about Arch Manning and the quarterback position, or anything that is not just it's all in on Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, that's a good question, because the one game I didn't mention, they're going to Michigan in week 2.
Yeah.
And I don't care that Coach Kaki's not there anymore, or and the quarterback's gone, but it's still the big house, man. And so those are tough games. I think the leash might be a little longer than we might think, but the games are so tough, and you never had to worry about Quinn in a marquee game. He played well against Washington, played well against Oklahoma, played really well at Alabama. It's those other games. It's those games where you look up and it's 10-7 at home against Wyoming going into the fourth quarter, and he's like 7 out of 16. So those are the games where he comes in a little sleepy, and you can't afford to have those kind of games in the SEC, because if that happens, you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat. Mississippi State is not a joke. That's a bowl team. And UTSA is a bowl team. So there are games where he's not going to be able to do that. They had a lot more experienced talent last year, and they were able to overcome. You got to remember, 29-26 to TCU, late fourth quarter stop. They're 21 all against Houston, where Dana Holgerson's in his last year. He gets fired. So there are games where they kind of wiggled off the hook. That hook is going to be a lot tighter this season in the SEC. They're going to have to be much better in first halves, and it starts with QB1.
Yeah,
and Arch Manning is waiting in the wings, and I don't know, if it comes down to it in a marquee game and Quinn doesn't have it, I think Sark will go to Arch. They have a lot of confidence in Arch.
And let's not forget, probably 9 of the last 10 years, last year's game with Kansas State would have ended up being a loss. But they found a way, remember, to survive inside their 5-yard line. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I didn't even bring that one up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And those are the games that they would lose in the last 10 years, or at least some of them. Yeah.
You're right, Smokey. And there's a reason they grew up as a team. They have an experienced locker room. They had good senior leadership last season, and those are games they would have lost. But they figured out how to be a more mature ball club. They got a good coach who doesn't panic under pressure, as evidenced by they blew that double-digit lead at Bama, ends up scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter in Tuscaloosa, unheard of. And so, but every team is different, and we don't know if they've got the same verve that they will have. The hype says they're going to be 11-1, 12-0. I'm not a hype guy. I look at who they lost, and I look at who they're bringing back. Some guys going to have to grow up, man. And these guys grow up fast and things come together and the quarterback position is solid, whoever's playing it, they can win 11 games. They can win 10 games. But if they went 9-3 and finished this outside the playoff, it wouldn't shock me. I think 10 wins as an SEC team is going to get you into the CFP with 12 teams.
Cedric, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. I know it's been a long day. Appreciate you being on with us, jumping on, giving us time. Cedric Golden,